Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today my guest is Spandan Banerjee, who has directed a film called City of Dark and You Don't Belong. So do watch the whole video, like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. So my first question is like, what inspired you to become a filmmaker? So
Okay. Yeah, become a filmmaker. In fact, I think a filmmaker always is kind of, it's a continuous phase, you know. You can never like really become a filmmaker. As we say that you're worth only of your last film, of your last project. So that way, every time I make a new film, I become a filmmaker. And then again, the filmmaking process and everything takes. So that's what has happened. But yeah, to answer your question in terms of where I was born and how I grew up, of course, had everything to do with me wanting to be and trying to do what I am doing today. I was born in Calcutta. I was actually born in Calcutta. It was not called Kolkata then, and it was kind of interesting because Calcutta, as you must have heard, it's a lot of things happen always in Calcutta in terms of artistic discussions and music, song. And my house, though it was a small family, me and my parents, it was just the three of us, but the house was always kind of full of music and cinema because my father, who pursued something else as a job, but he was a gold medalist in Robindra Sangeet in singing. So he was a singer and he was an avid, like he was almost like an encyclopedia on the 50s and the 60s Hindi cinema. So and also in terms of the music, starting from Western classical to jazz to whatever. So like in Goa, I still have one of his old record players. So we used to listen to music, we used to discuss, and at times my mom would, who was also a literature person, she did her literature from Calcutta University, and her expression of writing, which I one day maybe I will do something, is that from the day I left Calcutta, it's been a long time since I left Calcutta. She has been writing letters to me, long Bengali letters, which talks about the life there, the about me, warnings and caring words for me, and also so they are like kind of those letters. If I go back to them now, because nowadays nobody writes letters, and that time it was though email and everything was there, but they could never get their brain around emailing, so they would still write, and my dad would post it to my address, and I would receive a envelope, which was a beautiful thing. So that's what kind of that was the mahol that I was growing up in. And of course, being the single son, the expectation was always to be either a doctor or an engineer or at least a chartered accountant. But yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't become any. But I have to say that from the day I showed my interest, and I was good because I was good with my drawings. I was an artist. I was a trained artist. So I was very good with whatever I would do with my limited capacity, and they always kind of pushed it. So that's how it started. My first thing I would say was a step into designing, commercial designing, and art, pure art, which led me to start designing when I was in college. Yeah, I started the company that I still run, Overdose Films, started then when I was in college, and it was a t-shirt company. So I used to draw Bengali t-shirts, like t-shirts with Bengali slogans. And this was 92, 91, 92. So it was vernacular t-shirts were not still not there. We were still getting only the leftover English t-shirts or the band t-shirts or the expensive Beatles t-shirts and those kind of things. But we would not get a vernacular t-shirt which will say something in Punjabi or in Nepali or in Bengali. We would not get. So I did that first, and it was I at that point of time I made quite a uh, quite a tremor in Kolkata at that point of time, and it was covered by all media because they were seeing these Bengali T-shirts for the first time. So yeah, that's what, and then eventually I got into non-conformist, non CA or non-engineering space, and I got a job in advertising. and which I thought would be my first step, because I was not from a film school, so I didn't really have a bunch of friends or a set of colleagues that would say, who would constantly discuss films and constantly do films. So I joined advertising. I tried to do my best in there, whatever time I spent there. And then I got gradually, I was constantly making films, and with the video camera coming in, with the mini DV tapes and all those things happening, with whatever money you were earning, you could spend on those tapes and make your films. And then, but editing was not that easy then, still, because shooting rushes was kind of became cheaper then, but editing was still not as easy as what we do now. Uh, but yeah, so that's what happened. I would say that then my first, I made a lot of quite a few films, shorter films, which few of them, in fact, I retrieved, and they're there on my website, overdosefilms.com. But my first documentary, which was a 45-minute film, that was selected at Rotterdam Film Festival, and that was my first actually film festival per se visit. And I figured that everybody in my peer group said that, Rotterdam is a big deal, because so that was that this was pre social media and all, so you get an email saying that, dear Spandan Banerjee, your film Beware Dogs has been shortlisted, we would love to invite you, all that. So that was there, and then there was some subsequent. After Rotterdam, it went on to various other films. But by the time I showed my film in Rotterdam, I already started making You Don't Belong. And You Don't Belong in my head was a longer film. It was a feature-length documentary, but I didn't quite anticipate the time that it would take me to make the film, because in between I was researching. So the journey about You Don't Belong was something like, I was researching a song which I grew up with. And we always hear a song. We always have a childhood song or something, which with friends you sing with. And it's like a song which is evergreen. You can sing with your parents, you can sing with your lover, you can sing to your younger sister, that kind of a song. And I was always curious of what this song comes from. So, because it was called in those days, all the cassettes and all, whatever later got published, they always had this word traditional, which is in Bangla we call it procholito, which is usually called for a folk song. But this was not essentially a folk song. It was like a very very that way a very very urban song, I would say. So that journey was much fun, I would say, because we shot the first 6 months. After the 6 month schedule, then the research took us to a dead end, because the author of the song was no more. As we were told, and by that time there was another film which was brewing, because usually that's how I do. I usually work on two projects, one at a advanced stage. By the time it is at an advanced stage, I start developing other projects. So that way I also took that 6 months break, and then again I further my research, and as luck would have it, I realized that the gentleman is very much alive, and the gentleman lives in an obscure place. And then I went there and I filmed the rest of it, and with Pawan Das Baul, who's quite a famous Baul at that point, who still is. We got access. A friend of mine, who also we became friends with our work. He's a stalwart writer called William Dalrymple. So William Dalrymple saw the potential of the film even when it was not being made, and he felt the importance. So he was one of the person who engineered the whole Pawan Das Baul and the whole activity, so that I can make the film peacefully without any, because that was, like as I said, it was a self-funded film, and before you make a film like that which you haven't even shot completely, nobody is interested to fund or even hear about the film. Okay, so they will say that, okay, it's like a very very indulgent project of a Bengali filmmaker on a Bengali song. So, and there are thousands and millions of these kind of filmmakers around. So, yeah, we'll wait for the film. So, I had to go ahead on my own and with a couple of friends' help. We completed the film, and the last leg of the shoot was in Jaipur during the Jaipur Lit Fest. So we had these very interesting moments of the shoot, which, if you are interested, I can elaborate on. Like, it's just what happens like when you're the energy is into it and you have this tight, because I had a very tight team of 8 people, so it was just 8 of us who were filming the whole thing, and it was a 2 camera setup, and this my cinematographer was Mrinal Desai, who's again quite a stalwart film cinematographer, and we go back a long time. So uh, in the that in we as we were kind of it was a road film, so we were shooting a lot of it from Delhi to Jaipur. So in between we were caught by the cops, which because of my driver was what was the the crime was that one of the glasses of the my car where the shoot was happening was tinted. One of the glasses, because for the rest of the glasses I had removed the tint because I wanted the color to light to come inside the car. So for that one glass, we got stopped. And then and on the day one, when we were shooting in Jaipur Lit Fest in the morning, when the bowls were rehearsing and we were all jamming and we were shooting, suddenly there was this chahal pahal that Amitabh Bachchan has arrived. So none of my crew were interested, but the bowls in front of my camera, they were all like, they left everything and they were all like rushed to the side that, oh my God, because we were behind stage, we were backstage. So, we could see Mr. Bachchan come, get out of his car because it was not a public space. So, though we tried to hold our composure and our dignity, but we had a fun moment of a break. In fact, later on, I contemplated of because I use these moments a lot in my films. But I contemplated of whether I should be using it or not, and at that point of time, I didn't think it was important. But in today's time, with the social media frenzy and all the photos of celebrities going to the airports and all that, that happened then. So that was quite a moment. We had to take a break. The bowels had to control their emotions, calm down, have a cup of tea, and then again get back to the get back to the shoot. And yeah, so these kind of fun moments. We had 2 vegetarian members, which we were very worried about because for the other people being non-vegetarian, so it was quite a thing. And Mrinal's ticket on the way back, because Mrinal had to go back because he was pre-prodding this film called Court. Then he had shot this film called Court, so he was meeting the director then for some pre-production. So he had to leave Jaipur early, and in the my production manager, she by mistake she booked Mrinal's ticket as Mrinal Sen. So as Mrinal Desai walks into Jaipur airport, but thankfully it was allowed. Today he wouldn't be allowed to fly, but he flew from Jaipur to Bombay as Mrinal Sen, which was quite. He said I felt quite nice to have traveled like that. So yeah, when you as you can see that as you shoot, as you make films, these stories, and then there are other things which kind of constantly give you that impetus to film more, to make more. It's like it's not really one single reason, uh, like almost like it's not really like a one filmy revenge point which I want to take, and hence I became what I have become. But no, it's a culmination of all these. So that's what has been happening. And then later on, actually, people started watching You Don't Belong after it got the national award, because before that we had 1 or 2 screenings, and I was also, I think, post You Don't Belong. What was the film that I was researching? I think I was into City of Dark or something. So, and it got the national award. And then we had some fantastic screenings. And recently, few months back, I had a lovely screening of You Don't Belong in Dhaka, where I am in Bangladesh, where I am making a short film on music, which is again about a Bangladeshi person from Dhaka who's a stalwart poet, and he wrote a song, and the song became hugely popular, and his name was there. It was not Procholito or anything. It was his name was very much there, but he went out of circulation completely. So, and he was out of circulation, and then we kind of found him out, and the first thing I did was show him You Don't Belong, and that was the screening that we had, and eventually we have filmed the song, and as we speak we are editing it. I am right now, uh, I've finished the cut, so we are getting into getting waiting for some material to come, and that's one of my projects which I'm doing. So yeah, You Don't Belong has traveled. It's been 10 years, 10, 11 years now, but it still has screenings. Like in Delhi, there was a screening a few months back. Again, it evoked the same kind of questions, and for me, when I see the film, like in Delhi when the screening was, I saw the film after a long gap. So yeah, I have my own points, and I also look at it because once you finish a film, then it's out of your system. So you can only be another viewer because you cannot really touch that thing anymore. So yeah, I have very nice memories, and I feel nice watching it again. It's an indulgent expression, but what to do? That's the truth.
Sir, how much time it took like complete the You Don't Belong? Like
Mm,
research, shooting, editing,
two and
everything.
a half years almost, 2.5 to, yeah, almost 2.5 years, with a gap of, I would say, 8 to 9 months in between, because post production was not that much, didn't take that long, but the shoots and the characters, and of course we couldn't shoot it in one schedule because it was a part of it was shot in Kolkata. So, and that's how it kind of um, took that time, but yeah, it's worth its time. Worth its time that it took, because it is there, it is out there, and it will remain.
Yes, true. And sir, my question is like how your interest in documentary started. Like you have you gone to film school?
No, I haven't. I
Yeah.
haven't
So
gone to film.
how your interest in documentary started, sir?
My interest in documentary, actually, I was not really looking at it as a form. I wanted to tell a story, and that story, like, often I would say it has in festivals, in film festivals across the world, where my films have been shown and awarded and appreciated. But a lot of times I've heard these things, these Q&As also, in Q&As, where they are saying that, Acha, Mr. Banerjee, your documentary doesn't really look like a quintessential documentary. Now, I don't understand that point, because at the end of the day, I'm telling you a story, and how I want to tell you the story, whether I am I'm crafting out that scenario, whether out of a set with actors or whether out of my subjects in their own comfort zone, is entirely up to me. My job is to craft out the scenario and tell the story, that or tell the story of my journey with this person of interest. So that's why when I've followed characters or when I've followed musicians, I had never really treated them also as the way they can behave, they can be. It's not like I never had, say, 18 hours of interview or 12 hours of footage. It was not like that, okay, I'll talk to you, and with that I'm sure something will come out, or that kind of a space. So I was pretty sure when I go to walk into a set, or when I walk into a space where the artists are, I'm pretty much sure what I want from them and how they are going to, because they need to be inspiring mutually. Because while I'm talking to them, while I'm doing it, I need to be inspired, and whatever I am doing should inspire them to behave or to come up with the way they should. So that's why I never really thought, and I have been on bad days, I have been accused also of making documentaries look too much too good, or maybe too crafted, that okay, you wait for a scene and let it happen. But for me, cinema is that, because for me that is what works. And that's why I never like the City of Dark, the fiction that I made, that was generically for producers, for everybody, that was a fiction. But there also, and I worked with actors and non-actors with the same ease. Like for City of Dark, my primary actor, there were two primary actors. The first primary actor was this gentleman called Shobhoshachi Chakraborty, who is a stalwart in his own right in Calcutta. He's a theater person. He's an accomplished actor. He's a very, when I worked with him, he's already been called like like a master. Okay, one, like maybe one step short of a thespian, which Bengalis love to call older people. But so that and Shobochachi came from a certain school, from a certain way of acting, and he expected a certain director, because he had faith in the story. He was willing to do it, and we were shooting in outdoors in Delhi in 42-degree, on a moving car which doesn't have an AC, because I had my camera rigs and everything there. So it was an indie film. So I didn't have but whatever money we had, we spent on the car rigs, so that the shots are stable and all that. So, and he was totally cooperative, and but at the same time, he needed lines. Like he needed lines to be prompted, to be guided, like a well-trained actor always needs. On the other hand, the other actor was this gentleman called Sanjay Rajora, who is now a stand-up comic. He's quite a famous stand-up comedian now, and that was his first film or anything to face the camera. That was his first time. So I knew how to let him loose, because he was like a, I would say, he was a born actor. Okay, he was like somebody, you put the camera in front of him and you nudge him a certain way, he would come. It can go totally south also, because with these people there is always this danger of things going totally south. But so I had to deal him in a very different way. And in all the sequences where I have both Shobhoshachi and Sanjay in frame, for me the task was very, very fascinating, because I'm directing the two of them in two different ways, and they both need to comply, and I need to get the shot, because Mrinal is under the seat dying in the heat with the camera. So my sound engineer is there, so I need to have that in that 10 minutes or 12 minutes. It's not even that I have all the time. But so that's why I would say, to answer your question, why documentary, I never looked at it like that. So I would not know what urged me, but I wanted to make films, and I wanted to make the films the way I wanted to make it. And so far, touchwood, I've been, but by God's grace, I've been allowed to do it. So that's what I would say.
Sir, how big was the crew in both of these?
City of Dark. Again, the crew was, it was, I think, on the outdoor shoots, we just had two cars, and it was again 8 to 9 people. That's it, 8 to 9 people. And we had one attendant, one assistant, who was stationed in the Jodbag MCD toilet, which was our green room. So we would go to this park in there's a locality in Delhi called Jorbagh, and there are these MCD Sulabh Sauchalays. Okay, so that time this Sulabh Sauchalay was a new Sulabh Sauchalay, and we requested them that we are making a film. Can we just kind of, and they were the people who were attending or whatever, they were also very, very generous. Even the entire, actually, the Jorbagh market, because we shot for 9 days, and for 9 8 9 days, and yeah, out of which I think 5 days was with the main two characters. So they also figured that something was happening, and they were all very, very curious, and it was not the time when people would be recording with their phones and all that. So they were very curious. So we had a Sulabh Sauchalay as our green room, where both Shoposhachi and Sanjay, both of them obliged, and they used that to change their clothes and all that. And that's how. And we had a tiffin system for the lunch and the refreshments, and that's how we did. And evening would be mostly at my place, and Shoboshachi was staying. He was shooting something else in Ladakh then, so he had to stay in Delhi for a few days. And he said, "Okay, I can stay with my in-laws, and don't worry about putting me up and spending that kind of money." So yeah, that's what. So as I always say, that a film happens when all the people are interested and willing to make that film. It has to be like that, because it is always a teamwork. Because unlike any other art form or writing or say painting, you can do it sitting at home. But film is, you have to be out there and try to make the most of it. So that's how City of Dark came. And when it got made, other than the festival, it did its festival round. But other than that, we faced a major roadblock with the release of the film. And that kind of is the main reason why it never got a release, because it was supposed to be released through, then PVR was supposed to take it up. But the primary roadblock is something actually I keep talking about, which we documentarians, or which we so-called indie film people face a lot, are the copyright money for songs and for tracks. So the thing is that there was a substantial part of my story, City of Dark, which is on the streets of Delhi. And this couple who just met each other a couple of times, they are listening to the radio, and certain songs are coming, and they are trying to preempt the song with their intro music. Okay, so an 80s or a 70s Hindi song is coming, and ta-ta-da-da, ta-da-da, ta-da-da, as the thing comes, you have to say what song it is. Okay, so this was the game, and at times the girl was winning, at times the boy was winning. So that's how. So now, but getting rights for those songs. So the thing is that I needed to use those songs even for that little bit, and I couldn't have changed those songs into some other fresh songs, because that would have taken the story away. And when we started doing, my producer, City of Dark, my producer was this company called Hamara Movies. They were very encouraging, and we started. But then, as we stumbled with the cost from the music companies, we realized the quotation that was given to us was more than my whole production budget of the film. So that was a point where we said, okay, no, we cannot really do anything about it. So what do we do? And for me, by that time, I had already moved to my next film, which was English India, which was again a pan India documentary. So I kind of, after a point of time, you lose steam of that. So that's why people who have individually watched it, and all the festival directors and whoever had watched me, they have given amazing, they have really praised the film, because it takes a little bit of a, and that was also a film made, I think in 2014 or something. So that time, the way the film was made and the way the story moves, and it is about Delhi city, it is about women's safety, it is set in the night. So that way it never got the audience, because we could never reach out to the audience because of those things. And then later on we solved the problem, and now it is it available still, because it was available for some time. So as my friends call it, that okay, you give it another 10 years, it will become a cult, so wait till then. you know so maybe we are in that mid freezer level, where right now the film is nowhere. Everybody loves the film, whoever has seen it, and I've had lovely screenings. But yeah, if you ask me that, Spandan, where can I watch the film, I would say nowhere. I have to send you a Vimeo link or some one of those really cliches things I have to do, but it's not really there. But yeah, it had Shoposhachi, it had Sanjay, it had another stalwart actor called Dan Hussain, who has now moved to Bombay theatre. Yes. So it had Dan, and it had a host of other film school and Delhi theatre people. and it was entirely shot in Delhi, and it was shot by, again, it was shot by Mrinal Desai. Talking Head is actually uh, Talking Head. Memories of Talking Head is kind of merged with memories of COVID, because Talking Head was entirely. I started the film here in Goa, and then COVID hit us. So, and I wanted to show a lot of few other things which I wanted to explore Kolkata a little more, because Talking Head is about this actor who is again a very recluse actor who doesn't really come on screen much, Dhritiman Chatterjee. And Dhritiman Chatterjee and we met also in a very, very different space. It was not that I didn't know him at all. We actually met at a film festival where we both were co-jurors, and he was my jury president and I was one of the jury members, and we spent 2 days watching films and discussed this. And at that point of time only I told him that there's a film brewing, just talking to you, and so I will get back to you. And I think in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks I got back to him saying that this is what I have in mind, and this is what the space, shall we quickly start. And I was very, very lucky that usually Dhritiman also is, as my other friends told me that, can you get in touch with him? Does he entertain? Because he doesn't really come on. So I don't know what happened, but we kind of clicked. We worked and we had a full Enthu first phase. And then I was doing the sorting out of the rushes, and he had to go to Bombay for a film shoot, which he was filming with some Bombay actors, and I think he was filming with Amitabh Bachchan and Manoj Vajpayee or something. And then COVID hit us. Then the lockdown and all that happened. So, and thankfully, Dhritiman also lives in Goa. He spends a substantial part of his year in Goa. So we were stuck, and between the phase, wave one, wave two, or first wave, second wave, whatever. So we have had. So that's why Talking Head has hand washing, hand washing sequences as a very, very important thing, because those days, and that's how it happened. And it was also the centenary year of Satyajit Ray, birth centenary year when we finished the film. So it had a lot of interest from people. And we had a very, very generous support from one friend who is a stalwart scientist in the USA, but he prefers to remain unnamed. But he financially and morally, he supports these kind of art fronts, art projects. So it was he made it possible, because in during COVID, it was even the technicians, everybody, we were all without any income. So not we had the time to do a lot of things, but we really didn't have money. So we were borrowing equipments. Like I remember, I used to go drive up to the next village. There's a cinematographer friend of mine who used to give me his camera. I used to go to another village, get the Zoom recorder and the batteries for it, so all those things you arrange, and that's how we kind of did. And Talking Head was shot by this very, very talented cinematographer called Somananda Sahi. He's recently he has directed a film also for Geomami, which is on YouTube, and he shot films like Nasir. He shot. He did a part of the shoot for All That Breathes, Sean Up's film.
Okay. अन्य अन्य नाम का that घोड़े को जलेबी खिलाना.
Correct. Ghode Ko Jalebi Khilana,
Okay,
Anamika
okay.
Askar's film also, yes. So Shomo was that cinematographer, Shomo, and there was another friend, our friend, who had to cover the Kolkata and who had to cover the Bombay part, because he was in Bombay and I'm in Goa and Shomo is in Goa and we cannot travel, so that way. So that's how we kind of finished the shoot. And another person who helped us a lot with photographs and materials and story was Dr. Kunal Sen, Mrinal Sen's son, who is, I think he lives in Chicago. He lives in Chicago. He's a and he was fully supportive. He sent me materials and he sent me anecdotes and informations and everything, because Mrinal Sen is actually one of my favorite filmmakers, and that goes back even me before trying to think of making a film called Talking Head. So that way, it was a lovely association that I had with him. And yeah, I've had some interesting associations also in terms of one producer who I cannot name, who's who like the son of the father, and he asked for an exorbitant amount of money on my face to show a small clip, to show a 35 to 40-second clip of a Ray film, which was a very, very, very important Ray film. But it just so happened that his father produced it back in the day, and he also didn't know of it at all. But when he got to know, he was saying that no, if you're using it, then you have to pay. So I didn't have an option but to say, okay, then I'll take it out, because it's I will definitely, I cannot really pay, because if I'm not uh, if my technician or if my cinematographer or if the director is taking 40% of their rates, then how come just for a 45 seconder it's not justified. And my patrons will also, how will I ask my patrons that a substantial chunk of them is taken just because of that? And then I have to decide that whether how important it is for my film. Of course it is important, but can I live? So that's like a, you take it with a pinch of salt, but you have to live with it. So I think that was something, those kind of experiences. But yeah, I would say when you're making a film, those experiences are few and far between. Mostly the overall, I would say the vibe is that, okay, let's do it, because it's, if it's a, this is a film and this is how you make a film, and just don't get into the thing of let's get this project first funded and then make, because if that was the case, then I wouldn't have made any of my films. Because that is so that's why if you have those kind of questions, I mean, or if producers come with that kind of a requirement, then of course I can tell you that, okay, the producer's money will be safe, it will not be spent otherwise, it will be spent on the film, and all due diligence will be done. But at the end of the day, the fate of the film is of the film, how it's going to be taken, whether it's going to be taken. So there's no math, and this, the lack of math, we know, we have seen in Bollywood so many times, in Hollywood so many times. Now, if a Scorsese is failing it, or if a Yashraj is not being able to crack, then why expect a poor Spandan Banerjee or an Overdose Films to kind of understand it and crack it? So that way, of course, when you start a film, as you had asked me before, I remember that, what keeps it going and how do you keep doing films? I would say that the intention of doing film has to be the foremost, and then, and if you're true to it and if you honestly do it, then of course everything will come, because there are certain rules that needs to be followed. So if you're working with a producer, if you're working with a certain team with a certain set of expectations, then give them that expectation. It's not that you're totally self-indulgent art that you can make something of your own. No, if you're using other people's talent, their resources, their belief, their faith, then put everything. But and if you put everything in an honest way, the result has to be honest. And I think the biggest thing in a film which charms you is honesty, in whatever form. So that if it's an honest effort, then it's bound to charm you today or the other. It's a difficult path, it's not easy, but it is doable. It's not something which is totally unachievable.
Sir, are you doing any projects right now? Shooting something?
Mm, yeah, to I would say the one that I just mentioned earlier in my talk, this Bangladesh music film which I'm doing. So this I'm doing with this musician, very talented musician and a dear friend of mine, Her name is Anushe Anadil, and I know her for years. She has been so that is what I'm doing, and I am also working on a film uh, based on again the city that I dearly love, which is Delhi. And it's a film on Delhi. It's a documentary on Delhi called The Parliament Street. And as my friends and colleagues and my peers accuse me of, I am a little, I don't really divulge much before the film is made. So currently, that's where I am with my projects.
Sir, if somebody like wants to assist you, like how they can approach you, sir, and
They
what
can,
qualities you look in an assistant?
they can totally write to me at the official ID address is office, OFFICE, at overdosefilms.com. My website has the link, so they can write directly to me. And I take pride in saying that in the last 20 odd years of Overdose Films, I have met, yes, 100% of anybody who has applied. So if somebody applies and if that person is in the same city, I definitely meet them because I learn a lot. It is a very selfish reason is that whoever wants to apply or is curious to work with me, I meet that person because I also learn a lot and I also do that. And in fact, and this curiosity drove me to do this project, which I'm intent to do again maybe next year. I will start if I had to find that time. So I did this thing called Overdose Local, where we were producing 5 short films of 5 first-time filmmakers, and those filmmakers would come to a few of us. It was all made with friends and people you know. So and there was Gethe Institute was funding us in terms of to get the fund for to make the films, and they would come to us mm, and describe the film with the vision. It can be in any form, it can be in any language, but the only criteria is that that person uh, has to be the first time, it has to be his or her first time film, and preferably not from big cities, not from the metro cities, because metro cities, they yeah, they kind of, the metro city kids are, they are kind of exposed to a lot of things already. So that's what. So yeah, if somebody is interested to assist me to work with any projects, they are most welcome to. Please write to me and contact me. And also, all the best to you, Akash. I'm sure you will very soon make your own film. Please let me know if I can be of any help in that.
Oh, sure. Sir, if you could recommend your favorite films and filmmakers as well.
Sorry, what was the question?
Favorite films and filmmakers, sir. Yeah.
Oh, wow, there are many, but favorite filmmakers are very. I'm quite sure about them. Favorite filmmakers, I would name Nuri bin Salan, the Turkish filmmaker, as one of as somebody who, as I say that, and Woody Allen, and I would take both the names in the same breath. And I want to grow up. When I grow up, I want to be a Nuri bin Salan or a Woody Allen. So that's what I would look at them. And otherwise, Mrinal Sen, yes, as I said, Mrinal Sen is a very favorite filmmaker of mine. And and of course, there are lots of other films. And recently, there is this guy called Arun Karthik. I don't know whether you're aware of his name, but he has only made 2 films. I think his third film is shooting or something. But I think there's a very good director in the making. So he will be very. So I think, yeah, that's what, because otherwise, favorite directors, there are various other, like there are directors who I like for their body, like say for example Kubrick. I love Kubrick because of his variety, because of his body of work, like the kind of films that he has made, which again works totally against Woody Allen, because Woody Allen makes a certain kind of films that it doesn't really never goes out of that so-called comfort zone. But Kubrick that way is a master. But that's why Woody Allen also, I would say, because if I talk about Midnight in Paris, Match Point, and maybe Hollywood Ending. Have you seen Hollywood Ending? The film where Woody Allen wanted to be a Hollywood director, and he directs a film being blind because he's blind. You have to watch it. It's a fantastic film. So he's directing a Hollywood film in literally being blind because he cannot see. So that's a very non quote unquote Woody Allen-esque film. But yeah, there are lots of these films and favorite films and filmmakers and favorite films. You also asked, right? Favorite films. Yeah, in fact, I don't know whether you have watched this Louis Malle film called Elevated to the Gallows. It's an old film. It's a 1958 film. I might sound dated, but that's that's like a classic. It's a 1958 film. It was way before I was also born. But so I would say the uh, like films like Devi again, Ray film. It's a Satyajit Ray film, 1960, 59 or 60. So these films are favorite because when you still watch them or when you like the that it does or whatever the effect that it has on you every time is different, and every time you either wonder about the craft and the various aspects of the craft. So that's what I would say. And then there is Match Point by Woody Allen, which I think is one of the all-time thriller space film, all-time thing. And not recent, but Indian films which has really left a mark. There are many here and there, but I would say in terms of if this is an opportunity and people are watching us, I would say a film like Aankho Dekhi, which was directed by Rajat Kapoor, is something which takes your breath away. It's something which you are like totally boom. You watch that and you say, "Oh my God, what is this?" So I would say Aankho Dekhi had that kind of an effect on me. Ajgar Farhadi's Salesman had that kind of an effect on me. And this Arun's Nasir, I don't know whether you have seen it or not. It's a that though these are the films I would say of late that's coming to my mind. In fact, the other day I was watching an Almodovar film, a new film, uh, where he has cast this.
Pain and Glory.
Huh?
Pain and Glory.
Pain and Glory, right? And what is the actor's name? The macho.
Antonio
Antonio
Banderas.
Banderas, right? So in fact, that's what. So I had a good time watching it. But again, that film you have to watch Almodovar's entire oeuvre of work, and then you have to watch it. Okay, so but otherwise, the films that I said, I would say a Devi or an Elevator to the Gallows or a Aankho Dekhi. If you just watch that film from anywhere in the world, okay, and you watch it without any history, without anything or match point, you are enamored, you are overwhelmed. So I would say those are the 3 4 of my. Yeah, I hope my favorite directors, whoever are alive, they're listening.
Okay, great. So, sir, last question is, if somebody wants to become a filmmaker, like what advice would you give to them?
Wow, these kind of questions no throw me off. Who am I to give my advice would be just go and make the film. You know, it's like that. And now I would say there is so many different ways of making the film, and that again on the hindsight that shouldn't be the reason for you to become a filmmaker. But make a film and try to be make it as far away as possible from reels and memes, because that's a dangerous area which all of us are getting into, like our like the hunger or the hunger to make a film. Now it's also getting kind of partly satisfied by making a reel or getting an AI generated edit on a nice music. So now that shouldn't be the case. Make your own film, do your own music, get a friend to do the music, get another friend to act, get one more friend to hold the camera, and some friend's mother to cook for you. And there you go. You have the film unit. Okay. So make the film like that. That's it. And once the film is there, because of social media, we already have an audience. So it's not like earlier times when you make the film and then you don't know where to show. So you put it up, you throw it away, and the art should be judged by in its own capacity, and see where it takes you, because that is the biggest satisfaction, that is the biggest kick that it can give you, just by making the film and seeing your name on screen that a film by Akash Mal or written and directed by some, that's your thing, nothing else. Rest will all follow.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So, sir, thank you so much, sir, for
Thank
joining.
you so much, Akash. It was lovely talking, and I hope to see more of interviews and all that on this. And I'm looking forward to your first film also.